Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Are We as Hindus Becoming Too Superficial? I'll say this, yes. But I'll say this throughout the entirety of the world, definitely including America and Europe. Well, I don't know if all of Europe. I do see it on the internet, but I do believe this to be true though. I don't think it's just necessarily just because it's Western or Eastern or whatever. To me, this seems like something that grows out of how do I say? Let's say metropolitan areas, meaning really well developed areas. And it goes back to what Seguro also says about the three things that we need to live. Once those three things are done, 99 problems. Water, food, and shelter. Once those are taken care of, 99 problems. Hunger, one problem. Thirsty, one problem. Tired, one problem. No, none of these three, 99 problems. Which is very true. Even throughout the entirety of America, becoming more superficial and entitled. I wonder if that's what he meant. That's what I was thinking of, actually. And superficial and entitled. Because definitely entitlement is happening very strongly in America. And it tends to be happening in metropolitan style areas where there's just very densely populated areas where there's a lot of, how do I say? I was going to say progressive, but not necessarily, probably maybe progressive, but I don't know. But it's just that there's a lot of technology there, there's a lot of jobs there, and there's a lot of development, especially businesses, so the people are making a lot of money. And metropolitan areas tend to be very expensive because a lot of businesses want to go there because there's a lot of people there. And because there's good business there, a lot of people want to go there. So prices becomes really high, and cost of living becomes really high, and generally speaking, your pay is decently high too. So a lot of people are just becoming like superficial, entitled as well. So and I kind of see this actually in some of the videos and some of the comments and certain videos that I reacted to where I'm starting to see a lot of what I thought would be a Western thing because I didn't really see it in Japan, which is a westernized country. And I don't believe it to be in South Korea, but then again, I've watched some videos from there, but they're more like from Japan, especially because a coworker of mine wanted to go over there like before COVID, um, and we were just looking up like places to go, kind of just what it's about, and and the thing that we found was the population of Japan was declining because there's not enough births. Then the rise of lonely men, I believe, over there, and then the shops where you can rent like that. If you get what I'm saying, it's really weird. Anyways, but yeah, I don't necessarily see the issues over there. Again, it's more like develop plus culture. So, but again, I don't know if it is happening there or not. At least from the videos that I've seen a long time ago, it didn't seem like it. Whereas in America, you see it in again metropolitan areas. You kind of see it in kind of spread out areas, but not as much per se because not a lot of people. Anyways, let's get started.
The religion that you come from has always given you permission. This is not new. Hinduism has gone through so many different phases. Sometimes it was almost atheistic, in a certain period. It's prepared to go down that line even. So we have seen Richard Dawkins in the past, nothing new. So we've gone through a variety of different phases, and we are ready for that. We embrace the idea of an evolving, living religion. So here is this, if you like, considered to be a living religion. And then you go to modern India, and you say, oh dear, what are these guys doing here? They seem to have lost the plot completely. I've just been talking about divinifying humanity, seeing spirit in man and women, seeing and serving God in humanity. That is the esoteric the idea of Atman and this sort of principle-oriented religion, esoteric Hinduism. And then you got all these gods and goddesses, and you offer this to them and that to them, and donate money to these kind of big institutions and all that. Surely we have lost sight of the plan, if you like, this. The ethos of Hinduism. Surely we have lost, and this is why it's a question from the heart.
Yeah, again, he says modern India, so I'm guessing he's talking about like the developed areas of India. And this is what I don't know how long it took me to realize this. I thought it was just a Western thing. It's like, oh, Western people are infecting other cultures and countries, so they're making them more Western. But it's not. It's not about Western. Just it's just that happens to be that Western, I guess, got there first and they became popular, and they say, oh, that's what a Westerners does. But I don't think it's a Western thing at all. I think it's just whenever a city itself becomes very developed, it tends to happen. Again, I say Japan and South Korea because they are westernized and they're very much very well developed. I just, at least from the very small amount of videos I've seen over there, I haven't seen that. Although I say that Japan has the problem of birth rate, their population's in decline, so that's a different issue with them, which I think is still an issue when your country does become developed because in America, I believe white people's birth rate is dropping. It's not below 1 or 1 yet. I think it's like 1.3, meaning it's on a slight rise, but it's a lot lower than what it was before. It's going down. The birth rate's going down. So, and it's really weird to see that. Like, as the more developed you become, the less babies you have, and the more superficial and entitled you become too. It's terrible. But culture definitely has an effect in that, I do believe. Again, the only reason why I say that is because of Japan and South Korea. Again, watch very small amount of videos there, so I don't know that for sure. But if it stays true that a developed country people become superficial and entitled, then it's just something that as we as humans do.
It starts us up, especially if you go from the West and you see some of these atrocities committed or carried on in the name of religion. It will stir you up and say, this has gone wrong. It's stinking. We have lost the plot. You should address this issue. My answer is this. Majority of human beings, including the Hindus, look, never think that we are special and superior. We are not. We are as bad as any other human, people are sometimes worse in many cases. Be aware of that. Don't be frightened to understand it. You see, when every human struggles with the deeper ideas of religion, what does he do? He falls back on the superficial. So the deeper ideas of seeing and discovering the spirit as your essential nature and seeing spirit in others, seeing God in others. This is esoteric Hinduism, the deeper idea. It is difficult to absorb it, digest it, and put it into practice in our lives. So what do? We fall back on the superficial. What is the superficial? Either we focus on the narrative, pure storytelling and just wallow in the stories, sentimentality. It's called purely wallowing in sentimentality, Swami Vivekananda's words. Hindus love that, don't you? That's why all the soap operas are so popular. You love this, round the merry-go-round and this villain doesn't die and you die and everything. It goes on and on forever and we love it. We are fixated on that. We love sentimentality and this wallowing in narrative, stories. This is one way. So when we can't understand the deeper idea, we hang on to the story part, the narrative, and make a big thing out of it. So we enhance or give greater credence to the narrative rather than the philosophy. One place where we fail. It shows that we can't relate to the deeper ideas. Let's hang on to the stories. And I told the modern Hindu youth, do you believe this actually happened or this exaggeration? No, it happened, Dilip. I said, it didn't happen. Think for yourself. Think for yourself. No, we can't. Don't call our religion mythology. It's you call it mythology. So grow out of it. So either we fall back on the narrative, or the second thing we fall back on is the external is this idea of doing liturgy. We went to the mandir and we did this goddess puja and we did this, arpan kairu and so you basically, because you don't relate to the deeper idea, you kind of grab the superficial. It is easy, suppose you are well-to-do, it's easy for you to say, I'm going to offer this much gold and this much money and this much milk to Shankar Bhagwan in the temple, and you get servants to carry it for you and go click your fingers and you go in, and it's easy to do that. But to say, look, stop seeing God in this image and start seeing God in the street outside your house. When you see that destitute girl walking up and down hungry, do something for her. That's your living God. That's an image of God. This is a living God in front of you. That's your religion teaches you.
So essentially saying here is the sheer fact that it's kind of the same thing in Western religion too. A lot of people who praise God and go to church and donates a lot and decorates their house and Jesus and crosses and all that, but they're garbage human beings on the outside. When they go out and they meet people, they're just terrible human beings because they believe they are above the rest. They believe they are so special that God sees them as the one and only true savior of the world, that they can act like they're like just walking around like, oh, you're trash, and he doesn't want to hang out with you or treat you badly or whatever. And they have the, I don't know, it's really there are some of those people in America for sure, and I mean, it's like they have the rite of passage to just do whatever they want in a sense because they believe in God so much, and they donate money, or they do buy they have 55 crosses in their house or whatever, you know.
We don't want to do that because this girl, then I have to look after all her life. How can I do? I don't have time for that. Easy to just throw some coconuts and flowers at these images and get away with it. So this is what happens. This is, if you like, look, it's very cutting comment, and I may get a lot of stick for it, but I need to talk. When we struggle with the subtle, the difficult, some of the Swamis are enlightened. You can make out. Do you know how you make out? The material that comes out of the mouth is original. They never borrow from anybody else. They comes out naturally. There's a Swami Ashokanand in San Francisco, who passed away in 1969, a recent one. And he used to say, make fun. He said, do you know what happens? The same question, in a same answer, but in a different way. He said, when you worship the god in the temple, he doesn't kick back. He just sits. And you pour water over him, pour milk over him, he just sits. When you try and worship the living God, he kicks. When you try and interact with the living kingdom, say God in seeing and serving God in humanity, to see Shiva in Jiva. That's the idea, I see. Transcending theistic Hinduism to non-theistic Hinduism. When you do that, that is tough. And you don't want to do that. So you hang on to the superficial.
The last part was kind of funny. Essentially, you're worshiping a statue as opposed to worshiping actual people. Worshiping actual people. Not quite worshiping actual people, but, treating other people like you would treat God, essentially. And he's saying it kicks back. So, like, imagine just pouring, like, milk or water over a child or something, and they start kicking you. It's like, what are you doing? That's what I was imagining. Or just some random person, they start kicking you. It's like, why are you pouring water over me? It's like, this is what I do with the gods in the temples. But, so yeah. I guess it's not entitlement yet. But again, when I watch these videos and I hear when I read certain comments and I see certain how to say certain the way certain people talk, and especially the Q&As with said guru, that's why I kind of want to watch a little bit more, because you you get a little bit more of what people are thinking of the time, what are their issues, and what probably tends to be the issues around their area at the very least. And you see what struggles they're going through or the struggles they have around the area. And I just start, I'm really amazed of how similar, say, America and India is in terms of the struggle. I mean, obviously it would seem to make sense like that, but it seems like there's a lot more, much more in common, just a little bit of the struggle, but also the entitlement too, which I would have never assumed, because it's a different culture. You have Eastern culture versus Western culture, different kinds of ways of teaching, and certain things that are or aren't acceptable. But it's just like the more I see, the more I read in the comments that talks about the issues, and the things I see on the video, the more similarities I see. You look at America and then Europe, you see a lot of similarities, but then again, they're pretty closely related, because it's it's a lot of Europeans over here, but also at the same time you look at Asian people who are born and raised here, perhaps not the first or second generation, but maybe third onwards, where they also get this entitlement. And what else? And it's just, I don't know. I guess it is just so much, I guess, a human thing to kind of have these, I was going to say beliefs, but I think that might be the best word, because when you look at the issues they talk about, sometimes it's over exaggerated. At least in the West, it is. I can't really say much for any other part of the world, at least in America, at least. They tend to blow up these issues, and they make it seem like it's much bigger than it actually really is, and people tend to believe that, and then those people start to see this in real life, but not realizing that they're exaggerating the matter. Where a person just turns around and walks away, they think that maybe that's an insult to them, when in reality that person would have done that either way, regardless of whoever you are. But they just start associating a lot of things with issues that aren't really there, create issues that are not really there, and make little bits of issues that would have normally happened to anyone as something very specific that targets them. It's really kind of crazy. Again, I go back to that one video, the one Seguro video, the very famous guy apparently, where really he attacks Sadhguru in the sense of his words, and not believing in Sadhguru and everything. And I think it's great to criticize people for sure, but there's a certain level of duty that you have to do for yourself. For example, like researching the information first, making sure that you are correct. Maybe you can't see the real answer, but you go up to them and say, "Hey, what about this money situation I was talked about?" And let the person explain, let them defend themselves. Because I think that person that talked to Sadhguru really was not informed. He was just much like a lot of people in America. They just hear something and believe it, and then they run with it. And that happens a lot over here. And then I see that happening over in India, and I see that happening, of course, in Europe, and then I don't know where else. Like it's a real problem where people don't fact check stuff. They just sit in an echo chamber, or they hear what their friends say and believe it, and then whenever there's a counter argument to it, they just walk away. It's really I would say scary, but sad at the same time, because these guys can't really think for themselves. Anyways, going way off subject there. That's my reaction to us. Are we as Hindus becoming too superficial? I mean, welcome to the party, I guess. Hopefully, not everyone is becoming superficial. When I mean everyone, I mean everyone in the world, because that's going to be a problem if everyone becomes too superficial. So, if you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.